Labor Day's coming up.
It is.
It is. And, I actually wanted to mention a couple things about Labor Day. Trying to pull it up right now as I am always not so prepared. So anyways, Labor Day, check it out. I was talking to a driver recently, a JB Hunt driver, actually, to be honest with you. And he had told me he had come off of, it was not vacation, but a holiday. Holidays. The reason I'm saying is holidays are notorious for what? Parties. Partying. So anyways, we're coming up on Labor Day. It's the last hurrah of the summer, and people party. It's just what they do. And so the JB Hunt guy, right? I won't mention his name. He told me, he said, yeah, it was just crazy. I went to a party, and guess what? The first thing they asked me to do when I get in my truck, come back, is go do a random. And obviously, the reason he was telling me that is because he failed it.
Mm-hmm.
And my advice is, drivers, there is a major, and we've mentioned this a million times on the show, and I just want to remind you guys, okay, there is a major, gigantic amount of drivers losing their CDLs right now.
There is.
There's 170,000 drivers that can't get past step 6. I mean, once you get to step 6, I don't think you're losing it, but there's a billion drivers out there right now that nobody's going to hire because they don't have the freight, and therefore the SAP drivers are kind of last on the list for hiring. If you guys I don't want to hurt your feelings out there, truck drivers. I love you guys. You know that. Like, I'm a trucker. We're all truckers. We're trucker families. But you know me, I'm very in your face with truth. Okay. And so if you guys want the truth, this is the truth. I'm going to give you the bold-faced truth. If you're a SAP driver, if you fail the drug screen, you are last on the list to be hired right now.
It's true.
You are honestly, you're at the end of the line, guys. Okay. Now, maybe a guy that's a child molester, honestly, that rolled the truck over and killed a family of nuns, they might be the very last on the list. Okay, but if we're being real, the guys that are looking to be hired right now, the list of drivers on the list to be hired right now, I'm going to give you the guys at the end. It's the SAP drivers, the drug failure drivers. I interview these guys. I talk to them. These guys call in on TalkCDL, and we talk to them, and they're having issues because most companies right now don't have the freight. So if they don't have the freight, that means they don't have their hiring criteria to where it's lenient. And when it's not lenient, SAP drivers are last. So Labor Day's coming up. Labor Day parties. Okay? 3-day weekend. What does that mean, Ruth Ann? When drivers have a 3-day weekend coming up.
It means that they're going to want to party, but we're going to have to tell them, behave.
Behave. Seriously, behave. If you think for a second, hey, this one time ain't going to hurt, what's the odds of me getting a random? Take advice from the JB Hunt guy that I recently talked to, and he had never failed a drug screen in his life. And he said, listen, I hardly ever smoked weed. I just by chance did it at a party. And I come back, and literally 2 days later, I'm being tested. And just like that, he's out. So,
well, I mean, if you think about it, a lot of drivers, that's when they're going to want to do the randoms on drivers, is when there's been a vacation, a holiday, something that's going to promote a driver to have more fun, in a matter of speaking. But you don't have to do drugs to have fun.
That's true, Ruthann. You sound like a commercial from the 80s. Just say no.
Just your brain. Just your brain on drugs.
Remember that? Do you remember the commercial, the guy's walking in a padded room. He's walking in circles, and it said, the guy's going, I do drugs so I can stay up, so I can earn more money, so I can buy more drugs, so I can stay up, so I can work and earn money. Mm-hmm. It was like this vicious circle.
Well, here's the thing also. We don't have anything against a lot of people, people that
yeah, I'm not judging.
We're not making a judgment on you.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. When a company is making their hiring criteria so tight because they don't have the trucks, that's going to be the first people that they get rid of, is the ones that have more violations, more SAPs, more of the accidents. They're going to restrict it down to the really absolute great drivers.
And it's not that they don't have the trucks, it's they don't have the freight.
I'm sorry, did I say trucks?
Yeah, you said trucks.
Sorry.
I just want to make sure, because somebody's probably going, what does she mean?
Yeah, this is me being a...
Right, which I'm used to. But anyways, but the bottom line with it is you're right. And so we can actually go ahead and talk about that for a little further. Okay, if you're a driver that has not failed the drug screen, do not party beyond what you should be partying this weekend or at all, because they're cracking down on it real hard. So SAP drivers, you guys are the ones that are really having the hardest time. The second, I shouldn't say in this exact order, but I'll give you a list of the drivers that are really having a hard time getting a job. In fact, earlier today, we were talking to a trucking company, and he said he just interviewed a guy that had like 20 jobs in the last 3 years. So the drivers that have 1 million jobs in the last 3 years, if you have more than, I think they're saying right now, guys that have more than 8 jobs.
I was going to say 7 or 8 in the last 3 years.
And some companies have tightened it down to 5 jobs even.
Mm-hmm.
So those drivers aren't getting in. I'll tell you another big one. You guys that are abandoning trucks right now, your companies run your stuff and they see you have abandoned trucks in the last couple of years. They are absolutely not giving those guys, jobs. Drivers that have bad safety scores, drivers that have bad PSP reports. And I see a lot of companies that are telling me, listen, if we run a driver's PSP and we see a lot of failed inspections, whether it's because it's bad equipment or log violations or whatever the case is, they said that's a driver this is what the company's saying. That's a driver that doesn't give a crap. We're not hiring him either. So right now, those batch of drivers, my advice is keep your nose clean, guys. Pre-trip your truck, know exactly what you're driving. Okay. Don't smoke weed. Don't be job hopping. And if you're quitting a job, I don't care if a company says you got to be here tomorrow or we're not hiring you. That's just them trying to lie to you to pressure you to get there. If they ain't allowing you to at least get your truck back to your current company, then I would tell you straight up, 100%, that's probably going to be a bad company. Something else you guys should know. And this is one of the things that a lot of trucking companies tell me, Ruthann. They say these drivers that abandon trucks, if they would just bring the truck back, we are providing them with a ride. Now, I know there's some really less reputable companies out there that would probably make you, leave the property and find your own way home. And I would tell you trucking companies this. You guys are the ones that a lot of times cause drivers to abandon trucks, because you bring a driver in, you fire him, and then you don't give him a ride home, and he's stuck with all his bags. That's why a lot of drivers are afraid to bring your trucks back. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Think about
It's true.
Yeah, think about the logistics. It's like a driver saying to himself, okay, well, I got this job I'm supposed to go to next week, and I've got all my stuff. You ever see some of these guys, they carry their house in that truck?
Mm-hmm. Well, it is their house.
Right. They're like, oh my gosh, some guys actually bring their own mattress. You know what I mean? They're going, okay, well, I got a mattress I got to get out of here. I've got my own fridge. I've got all this stuff. And now I've got 3 days to get a truck back and then get to the next orientation. And I'm not even sure if these guys are going to give me a ride home. And so these drivers and I'm just defending the drivers for a second here. And I'm not defending abandoning a truck. I'm telling you guys why they do it, because some of them have been burned. If you're a company and you bring them in, you go, yeah, just clean your crap out and find your own way home. Well, you're one of the reasons why these guys abandon trucks. If you paid for them to get to your company, okay, well, I would tell you it's a lot cheaper for you to promise these guys a ride home than have to recover your truck because they abandon it. What do you think?
I agree on that. It's a bus ticket's a lot cheaper than trying to find someone that will go pick up your tractor. And on top of that, that's if he left it in a lot that's, not charging every day for it to sit there too.
A company told me the other day, the average cost for them to recover a truck, $3,800. And it doesn't cost them $3,800 to fly a driver to pick it up. What it costs is to find somebody, if you're not using a service, to route a driver in and to get them on, a plane. So you get all the logistics, and then you got a deadhead and find a load and all this other garbage, and the truck sits for X amount of days also till they get a driver there. It's averaging these companies close to $4,000, and that's on the cheaper side. Some companies pay $10,000-$15,000 to get trucks recovered.
Yeah.
So my advice to you trucking companies that have, sometimes you guys are just as guilty as the driver that abandons it. Now, drivers, there's no excuse for you to abandon a truck. I get that. And that's why a lot of drivers, sometimes they'll say, well, I really would like to get by my house, drop my stuff off. I'm going to give these guys some advice right now. Okay. And then we're going to move on to a commercial break. Okay. Here's the advice. If you find yourself stuck and you're saying, okay, I'm with a really crappy company and I'm leaving this company. And let's just say, for example, a driver they have to get to, let's say, Oklahoma to an orientation, but they have to take their truck to Chicago. And they know that if they get to Chicago, the company's going to tell them, well, the best we'll do is a bus ticket, which means you're not going to be able to get all your stuff on the bus. And so now you're thinking, oh no, man, I can't do this. I'm just going to have to tell them to come pick it up. You guys are just going to have to come pick this truck up because I'm going to. Here's my advice. Don't do that. Okay. Take that truck back. And if the company is not willing to give you travel to get out of there to get to your next job or to get home, if they're not willing to do that, look for what's called a U-Haul locker. They're like 6x6. They're like, it's literally, or 6x10 rather. You could literally get an Uber, or stop by there in your bobtail. You can unload this to one of these lockers. And here's the best part about it is, if you pick your stuff up within 30 days, you pay nothing. It's the first 30 days is free. And not only U-Haul lockers, sometimes it's an off-brand storage, Ruthann.
Yeah.
And they'll give you 30 days free. Mm-hmm. Okay, so here's the deal. So let's say I'm going to a new company in Oklahoma, and I got to get this truck back to Chicago. Hey, driver, hey, company, get me back to Chicago. I've quit my job. I get back there, and they say, screw you, Ruthann, Troy. You're out of here. Find your own way home. Okay, guess what? Go get a U-Haul locker, right? Go get a U-Haul locker, load your stuff in there, coordinate with your new company. I will guarantee you they will get you a load to Chicago or wherever your current terminal is to pick up the rest of your stuff within that 30-day period. You will be able to do this without having to wreck everything, and you can, get on a bus, a plane, logistically real easy without having to worry about all your stuff. Get to your new job. Your new company will get you back there. I'm telling you, this works. I've watched drivers do this, and companies tell me this is what they do with these drivers. They'll suggest the U-Haul locker. Just unload your gear if your company's not going to coordinate. And sometimes your new company, they will fly you to the orientation. So that way you don't even have to worry about your company giving you a ride home. Your new company will give you a ride.
Correct.
You see what I'm saying, Ruthann?
No, I've heard a lot of companies will get, wherever the terminal is, you got to return that truck. We'll just get you from there.
What's really cool is you're going to get this new job, and you don't have to worry about the gigantic amount of stuff that's in your truck and you losing it. I've seen this happen a million times. It's not that hard to stop by a storage facility, unload it, and then just get a ride back to it and reload the stuff into your truck. That's a problem solved for you drivers that are abandoning trucks. Bottom line is, right now, if you're abandoning trucks, you're not going to get many jobs. You're not going to get many jobs at all, Ruthann.
No, and a lot of drivers, you have a lock on you when, most drivers will use their own personal lock to lock the back of their trailer. Mm. So when you go to that storage facility to drop your stuff off, you usually have a lock that you can lock that door. Yeah. So you don't have to worry about a lot of the logistics that way either.
So advice, say no to drugs. Just say no.
Just say no.
Just say no. I will not do drugs.
Drugs don't make things fun.
Please pass the joint, man. No, don't do that, okay? Oh, what the hell? Give me one puff. Puff the magic dragon. Now, anyways, I would say don't do drugs, especially if you're a CDL holder, okay? And don't abandon trucks. That's really hurting people right now. And I promise you it'll go a long way. No matter what, you take your truck back, even if the company's a bunch of jackasses, take it back. And you can work it out without having to lose your stuff. That's all I have to say on that stuff, Ruth Ann.
Moving on.
I like that. People write into us and they go, moving on. You know how many people have said that to us? They're like, hey, Ruth Ann, moving on.
Yep.
Yeah. So anyway, so we are going to move on, but we're going to take a quick break. Guys, check out our sponsors. They're great people. And we will be right back. And I've got some exciting stuff.
Attention trucking companies and truck drivers. If you need help with cash flow, we've got help on the way. Turn to Tab Bank, the bank that knows trucking. Tab Bank has been in the business of helping truck drivers and trucking companies with their cash flow needs for 25 years. It's just that simple. It's what they do, but they don't stop there. Tab Bank helps grow your business with their invoice, factoring, and banking services. What a plus that is. Before you book your next load, play it safe and contact Tab Bank to get their help with your factoring needs. Tab Bank helps determine the credit worthiness of your customers as well as billing and collection efforts on invoices that you factor with them. Let the experts at Tab Bank get you cash quickly for the loads you deliver. Again, it's what they do. Visit tabbank.com/TalkCDL to learn more. That's tabbank.com/TalkCDL. Tab Bank member FDIC.
If you're a driver looking for a new trucking job, check out NCI. NCI offers the following: new Kenworth T680s, competitive wages, solo, team, and students welcome, plus a full benefit package for you and your family. Check them out today at 888-311-7076. That's 888-7076. And tell them TalkCDL sent you. Hey drivers, are you sick of watching the other drivers bypass the weigh station while you are held up going through yourself? Well, download DriveWise today at www.drivewise.com. That's DRIVEWYZE.com, and start bypassing the scales yourself. If you're a small carrier, an owner-operator, or even a big fleet looking for something better, check out DriveWise today. And remember, there's no equipment, no transponders needed when you're using DriveWise. Check them out for a free download at www.drivewYZE.com. Truck Parking Club is a network of instantly reservable daily and monthly truck parking locations throughout the U.S. Truck Parking Club helps connect truckers to truck parking locations throughout the U.S. via truckparkingclub.com. Our networks is made up of property owners that have locations adequate for truck parking to list on the platform. This includes trucking companies, storage companies, CDL schools, trailer leasing companies, real estate investors, truck parking operators, and more. Go to truckparkingclub.com today.
Did you hear about this? Tell me what you were going to say.
No, go ahead. Did I hear about the what?
The Tesla fire.
It's funny. I kind of briefly glanced over that. Like, where's the Tesla fire? Is it a tractor trailer Tesla?
Yeah, it was.
Okay.
It was California. They had the driver, for whatever reason, drove off the road, hit some trees, caught the battery on fire, and it was like the whole interstate had to completely be redirected for both sides. They couldn't even let anybody near it because of the toxic fumes and stuff from the fire.
I believe, I could be wrong, but isn't that the one that I heard about that it was burning for like days?
Yeah. They shut the interstate down for 16 hours.
And so like like over the last year or two, you're hearing all these issues with electric vehicles. They're going to die. Have to be recharged on the road. They're not going to, last here, do this, do that. That's a new issue. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, so when they get in a wreck, if the battery catches on fire, because the batteries are so damn big, they can't even out in them. They can't. They have no way of extinguishing these giant lithium, I guess they're giant lithium batteries. They just have to burn out. So it's like, if you're on a major interstate, or how about this? What if you wipe out on a bridge and that thing has to just keep burning for days, and it's tractor trailer, semi-truck battery fire? That's going to now shut down that entire bridge because it's going to be structurally unsafe, I would guess, after 6 days of burning battery. How crazy is that?
That is super crazy because they were so concerned with the radius of the toxic fumes. They couldn't have anybody fly over. They had to make sure not only airplanes, but their equipment, because they were going to try and dump from above to try and help out in it. They couldn't let anybody within a certain radius of this because of how, one, it was over 1,000 degrees, and it was also the fumes, the toxicity of them.
Toxicity?
Yeah. That they could not have anybody near it to breathe it. So even the firefighters couldn't even come up close enough because they didn't have the proper equipment either. So it was just something amazing.
I think that the industry just discovered, accidentally, pardon the pun, okay, a major issue with battery operated vehicles. It's funny, you never heard this like with a electric car. I've never heard any reports of an electric car catching on fire, the battery, to where it, was burning and burning and burning. So I'm wondering because obviously electric cars have been out for a couple of years now. So I'm wondering if they were trying to stifle that kind of stuff and keep it on the down low. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Because, the more problems you have with anything new in the industry, the less people want to invest in it. So the better you can keep a lid on the issues, the more confident your investors are going to be. So I would kind of be a little disappointed if I was an investor, especially a big investor in these batteries, these electric vehicles. I would be a little disappointed going, nobody's ever thought of that one.
Mm-hmm. I'm actually anxious to see how it started. It said the driver just went off the road into the trees. He's being investigated to find out why he did that. Did he fall asleep? What happened?
Yeah.
They haven't released that information yet, but I'm pretty curious to see. Because doesn't it, like with our vehicle, it's not, it has that road assist thingy to where if you start going off, it just like does that, you know what I mean?
Well, you would definitely think, because Tesla is like miles ahead of everybody with autonomous, and you would think that, like, at least the lane, what they call lane mitigation.
Exactly.
You would think that would have. So what else could have been? It could have been a medical. Drivers have medical.
He walked away.
Oh, he walked. So he got out and walked. Okay, so I don't know. Honestly, truly, the best thing you can always do is just wait for it to come out. You know what I mean? Sometimes a guy's on a phone, and he's distracted. Surfing the internet. Sometimes. He's bending down, picking something up. That's why I'm just talking about why they veer off the road. Sometimes a front tire blows, and a steer tire, a lot of times will take you where it wants to. Sometimes I'm sure one of the things about Tesla is they have like 360-degree camcorders all around, so they would know right away if somebody cut them off. There could have been something on the road. There's just so many things it could have been that might not have been driver error. There's just mechanical, all that stuff. You just don't know. And who knows? He got out and walked away, but did the guy all of a sudden have this major chest pain? You know what I mean? And he goes flying off the road. I don't know. I'm not going to surmise. You know what I'm saying?
I got it.
You got it, Rabbit. Moving on? Moving on from the Tesla fire. Listen, one thing I want to talk about real quick It's coming up Labor Day. And I caught this article. And I got to tell you, it's really, really, we had done reports on this. And I'm talking like probably when we first started the podcast back in 2015, we had done some reports on this, Tyler and I and everybody, about truck thefts. Mm-hmm. Right. And so, just like the party warning in the beginning of this podcast, be careful of getting yourself screwed at a last minute party here, drivers. Here's something else. Labor Day, the numbers, Ruth Ann, go way up. The numbers go way up. That was my computer, by the way. But numbers go way up on Labor Day for truck theft. You hear me?
Well, I would see because people aren't paying attention to what they're doing.
It's a 3-day weekend. Mm-hmm. Okay, so here's some numbers. Interesting numbers. And I've got to find those numbers now.
It's funny.
Here they are. I got them.
You say that you're never prepared. It's actually that you are prepared. You just have 5,000 things open. You've got to find out exactly what tab you have is your information because you have it everywhere.
Because I use Apple, and Apple you can open 100 windows, and it just lets you keep opening them. But anyways, so here's some alarming numbers. And so far 2024, there's been 179 I call them truck jackings, or cargo thefts, trailers stolen, sometimes truck and trailer stolen. Mm-hmm. We interviewed a driver years ago. He was a little on the dumb side. He parked his truck behind an abandoned building and left his keys in it, and was wondering why they thought he was in on it. I mean, how stupid can you get? I'm going to park my truck where there's no cameras, no lights, and I have a habit of leaving my keys in my truck because I never have an issue. And then your truck and trailer gets stolen with cargo. 179 trailers so far this year have been snagged. And a couple of alarming numbers. The top 3 states where thieves target trucks more than any other states. Number 1 is California. Out of the 179 truck and trailers that have been stolen, 42 of them are in California. Yeah.
What was it, 149 you said? Or
no, 179. So over 25%, about 25% of all thefts this year so far have been in California. Number 2 is Texas. They've had 24. And number 3 would be good old Florida.
I figured Florida.
At one time, Memphis was like, when you go to cities, Memphis was like number 1 for a long time. But I guess, and a lot of your truck thefts are in South Florida. If you're going down to South Florida and you're going to park your truck for the weekend, best thing to do is, and my advice to these trucking companies is, you're better off sending these guys home empty. Get these loads delivered, and I know that's their goal, but I mean, I don't know if I would send a guy home with a load on Labor Day weekend. I'm just saying. The top 2 areas that these truck thieves target are the warehouses, the DCs. Like Kraft or any one of them. I'm trying to think of some shippers, Hormel, Ford, whatever. A lot of times drivers think that they're safe there. And a lot of times, somehow, some way, these thieves get bill of ladings and pickup numbers. And they manage to get into these DC yards and take a truck filled. Yeah.
It's pretty amazing that they'd be able to get into the DCs, the distribution centers.
Well, I would tell you a lot of times somebody's in on it. Honestly, this is the one thing that you truck drivers should know. If you have a truck stolen, it's almost as bad as having a DUI on your record. It's almost as bad as having a drug failure.
Right.
Because safety directors think totally different than everybody out there. You know that, right? Mm-hmm. If you're a safety director and you're listening, you know what I'm talking about right now. You guys are weird, but you know what? Trucking companies need that weird guy that literally, I call him the axe man. He doesn't believe anybody. He's a detective. He doesn't just swallow everybody's story. So when a truck driver has their truck and trailer stolen with a load of stuff, a lot of times the safety guy's thinking, number one, you're in on it, or number two, you're dumb and we're bragging about what you had in the back of your trailer and somebody overheard you. Okay. But most likely they believe you're in on it. So therefore they put that on your reference, your DAC. And then the next company sees you had a stolen trailer with a load. Most companies are going to be like, no, I don't want that guy. I don't want that guy. I'm just telling you, I've seen it. Most guys have never had their trailer stolen, but if you could get
179 of them did.
Out of 3 million truckers. Okay. I'm just saying that it's a very low number, but if you're a guy that's had your trailer stolen, you already know the problems of trying to get a good job when you go to apply.
Right.
Because once you have your trailer stolen, you are getting fired. I'm going to tell you that right now. I don't care. Even if you're innocent, you're going to probably get fired.
You might not get fired that minute, because they don't know how to get you fired at that minute, but they're going to keep such a close eye on you. They're going to find something to fire you for within the month.
Yeah. Honestly and truly, it's a fact. So bottom line is, if you are a guy, what did I used to do when I would come home for the weekend?
Well,
what did I do with my truck and trailer?
You would back it up against like a pole or something that you can't open the back,
or a bank. Mm-hmm. Yeah, like, I don't mean a bank, but I mean like a rock bank.
Yeah, like a dirt banking. Yeah. A wall, depending on which place, because there's a couple of different places you parked at.
A building, if there's like a building that you can back up to, anything.
And you know what? Back then, companies didn't care that you just you detached and brought your tractor home. But a lot of companies don't want you detaching your tractor from your trailer.
That's correct. A lot of them have that rule. You're not allowed to break the combination. Because I guess pin locks can be cut off, but pin locks, most thieves, they see a pin lock, they're not going to bother. But that's the thing. I used to, like you said, I would pin lock it and I would back it up to something. So therefore, the only way for someone to get in now would be to literally take a acetylene torch and cut a door in on the side of the truck and get in. And usually that's not going to happen unless, of course, you're dumb enough to leave your truck somewhere where there's no protection at all.
Yeah, we never had that. I mean, we put it in a specific parking lot that you got the okay to park there and stuff. So
number 3, if you're a driver with diarrhea of the mouth, okay, and you like to brag at truck stops or to people what you got in the back of that truck. Okay, you get on the CB and you start bullshitting and you're telling everybody what you got. Okay, well, there's a very good chance that somebody overhears you and now they follow you. Okay, so the number one commodity that thieves are looking for are electronics, TVs, obviously computers, all that high dollar stuff. That's the number one theft target.
It's easy to not to trace it.
Number 2 is household goods. They want to find, like, for example, a load of what's the blender we have? What's that called? The really good one, or 300-400?
KitchenAids.
Yeah, a load of KitchenAids. Somebody knows you got a load of KitchenAids, man. They could pawn. Let me tell you something. One time I had an extra skid of filet mignon and New York strips. And this was like 30 years ago, okay? And I was told, okay, go ahead, take it here and do this. I reported it. Nobody even knew I had it. But another guy from another reefer company said, oh, man, if you would have told me that you had an extra skid, I could have got you 50 cents on the dollar. And at the time, just the fillets, which was a half a skid, was $36,000. I could have literally got a check for, $19,000. All right. I'm just saying, or $18,000 rather. Not that I would have, because I was honest and well, no, actually, the owner of the truck told me to take the meat home, and so I had all these New York strips on also, and they told me you could have got 50 cents on the dollar, and I believe that was a full skid, and that was like $40,000. That was what it added up to on the bill. Nobody claimed this skid of steaks. Nobody knew where it was coming and going. It was just on my truck. Well, the whole point is...
We bought a freezer.
The whole point is, okay, if thieves know where to, what they call, fence this stuff, and so let's say you've got $500,000 worth of KitchenAid on your truck. Well, these thieves know that they can get, even if you got 10 cents on the dollar, okay, that's like $50,000. Somebody can make a quick buy to take that to a warehouse and get a check, and on they go with a $50,000 to a $250,000 check.
Yeah, but crime don't pay.
Well, no, I'm not advocating that they should do this. I'm just saying this is why you're targeted. So if you have diarrhea of the mouth and you like to brag about what you got in that trailer, you're going to say it in front of the wrong guy someday if you're just dumb, and you're going to end up getting your truck jacked. You got 179 of these guys that were jacked so far this year. I would guarantee not 179 drivers weren't in on it. I'm just saying this is what happens when you run your mouth and somebody knows you got it. I'll tell you, another big cargo is cigarettes. But a lot of times, these guys that have cigarette loads, okay, we used to work with a company that hauled cigarettes. A lot of times, they have a chase car following, a load of Marlboro cigarettes, which is worth gigantic money, okay? A lot of times there's somebody following it. It's worth them following these guys just to make sure that the load gets to where it's going. Okay, so if
alcohol's the same way.
Yeah, well, food and beverage is number 3. What they target. Obviously, we were just talking about steaks, right? If they know you're picking up at a steak, thieves. I'm going to tell you something else. You might not be running your mouth. There might be just thieves just watching to see what tractor trailers are leaving a steak warehouse. You know what I mean? A best beef or Cargill load or something like that, where they load you up with beef. There could be just thieves just watching what you're picking up, and now you're being followed by a thief and you don't even know it. All I'm saying is do everything you can to protect it if you're going to be home this weekend, because somebody's watching there's a good chance somebody's watching your trailer. If you break the combination, pin lock it. If you can, back your trailer up to something, obviously put a lock on it, but also back it up to something to where the door can't open.
Right.
Take extra precautions. And trucking companies, honestly, I hate to tell you not to get a driver home. I love drivers. I'm a driver. But sometimes it ain't worth sending the driver home to a major city if he's under a load for the weekend. So I just wanted to point that out, guys. If you're hauling high dollar crap and you're going to be home this weekend, I'm telling you, man, do it at least where there's a camera.
Well, there's so many lots that are secured.
Yeah.
And if they charge, I don't know, $50 for you to park in that lot for the night,
right?
Wouldn't it be very advantageous to pay that for a holiday weekend, especially? Then that way, if something happens to it, you're not liable. The person that's your tractor or your trailer sitting in that lot that's secured and locked, they're liable.
You know what the number 2 area that the thieves pick to steal is? Truck stops. So sometimes a driver will do like you just said. They'll leave it at a truck stop, which is, not a bad idea. It's under surveillance. But I guess sometimes the obvious places, people think, oh, well, nobody's going to steal them right there. Listen, first off, if they pull up with a tractor that's already stolen, they don't care if you get their license number. They're using a stolen truck to pick up your soon-to-be stolen trailer. So nobody cares. And if you're leaving your truck and trailer, let me tell you something. It's really easy to break into a tractor and break into the column and start it. These guys know how to start and hotwire a new truck and drive off, truck and trailer. So anyways, Ruth Ann, that is all I have for my podcast this week. Guys, happy Labor Day. And Ruth Ann, do you have the word of the day?
I do. And I got to tell you, I was really surprised because it's not the meaning I thought it was. Just going to get that.
I want to hear it.
Cavort.
Cavort? Cavort.
Cavort.
So kind of like avort, but like cavort.
Yes, CAVORT.
I'm going to be honest, I have no idea what cavort means.
Okay, so I'm going to tell you what I always thought.
Sounds like a military word.
See, I always thought when you cavorted or you were, cavort, I always thought you were like hanging out, that you were devious with another person. Like you're like a gang. They're cavorting with the wrong people, hanging out with the wrong people. That's what that was my mind.
Were you thinking of converting?
No, converting means to.
Okay.
So cohort is.
Go ahead, let's hear
Could have been when it was mixed up. But okay, so this means basically to jump or dance around excitedly. I'm like, that is not what I thought that word was.
Covort.
Cavort means to dance around or jump excitedly.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Take that one to the bank, babe.
Yeah, I hear you. All right, well, we're out of here.
Peace.
Peace. Praise the Lord.